It's now time.
I'm so excited.
Oh no!
I do love you, but what?
Oh, it's so wrong.
I gotta go. I got something new. Not as exciting as this. I'll tell you that right now, but.
Hello, and welcome back to a brand new episode of Survivor Social for Survivor 49. This is the Survivor podcast where we discuss Survivor with a focus on the social elements of the game. My name is Kara, and I'm here with Tori, who you might recognize from the pre-show. Tori, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. I'm so excited to talk about this episode some more. I was also on the after show yesterday, so we dissected it a little, but there were a few moments that I forgot to talk about, so I'm excited to get into it.
Mm-hmm. And we have a special guest with us today. We have Mattnemite, aka Matt, who is with us to talk about, the episode. How are you feeling about the season so far? I know it's 2 episodes, but
I've been really loving it so far. I think the cast is really exciting. I think a lot of them don't like each other, which I really like. And I think that we have a good social game ahead of us, and I'm excited to chat about it with you guys.
Yes, but before we dig into this episode, make sure to like and subscribe to Survivor Now on YouTube, Spotify, follow us on all the social media sites. And as a reminder that we are live right now, and we will get to your questions at the end of the episode. So if you think of anything, send them in the chat and we will get to them later. So let's just get right into the episode. So this beginning of the episode, I found interesting because we got a little look at each of the tribes. We started with the Keeley tribe. I feel like I say that wrong, but whatever, the blue tribe. We see Jeremiah eating worms. We see Annie talking about how she likes to be uncomfortable and she wants to vote Jake out and making like a big statement right off the bat. What was your thoughts on what Annie was saying at camp?
Matt, you go first. I want to hear your thoughts.
I liked what Annie was saying. I just don't know if everybody else on her tribe did, and that was kind of unfortunate for her. It seemed like she was excited to play the game, and people were kind of already excited to have her be on the chopping block next. And so a lot of her words were kind of, I don't know, if somebody else was saying them, maybe they would have come off a little bit better in their minds. But at least from where she was after last tribal, it was not looking very good for her to kind of be so bossy and headstrong, and she didn't know if they were going to tribal that night, that type of thing. So to already cast your ideas for who should be going is kind of hard too. So what did you guys think?
Yeah, it's interesting because season after season, I'm realizing that one of the best things that you can have in Survivor is just like self-awareness and the ability to recognize like where you're at by reading people, by looking inward even a little bit and figuring out like, okay, like who do I want to be in this moment on the show? And how will that come off to all the other people? Now, I do think that that's easier said than done because, these people are probably so excited and they want to really make a name for themselves. They want to come out there and like show all the stuff that they know and be running the tribe and do all of these cool things. But I really think that the best thing that Annie could have done, if she was maybe a little more aware of where her tribe was at, I think the best thing she could have done was just be quiet this episode.
Yeah, she was definitely doing a lot. And like, I feel like immediately just throwing the biggest person on your tribe's name out, someone who is good at challenges, this is not the time for that. When you know that, especially since she got a vote last tribal, like, and hearing what they said at that tribal, that there were 2 plans, I feel like you would have to assume that you were the other plan at that point. So definitely she was unaware of where she stood on that tribe. But then we go over to the Uli tribe, the red tribe. And this was funny with how Nate was talking about feeling a little bit out of place with some of the younger people on the tribe and the slang that they were using by saying everything is fire, the vibes, and, cinema, aura. Matt, what did you think about this segment?
I thought it was a really good one in terms of getting to know people a little bit better. I think what they show at the beginning of these seasons and these earlier episodes are so interesting to be like, why are they showing us this clip when they have like hours upon hours of footage of tribes just hanging out? What is it about this moment that really, in the editor's eyes, sets these characters apart from each other and the rest of the cast? And so something like this kind of makes me realize, like, oh, are they setting a scene for what they want us to think is happening, but it's not? Or are they setting us with the groundwork of what we really need to bank on for these characters in the rest of the season? And so I don't always know if at the beginning of these episodes how much these moments really matter in terms of what's happening this episode, or if they're kind of giving us clues into what might be going on later on. And so I think that optics of people like Nate seeing that he's kind of feeling outcasted a bit, but not intentionally, that might inform a decision of him working with another tribe in the future, those types of things. And so having ideas of what these people think about little mundane things kind of gives you an idea of what they could maybe be doing as a player in the future. So I just like the seeds that are planted in these moments. What about you guys?
Yeah, that's so interesting because you're so right about that. I mean, we might see something related to this come up, and so they're clearly trying to make it like some sort of a part of Nate's story. I thought that this particular moment, just in general, was really funny, and I personally I've said this on all of the podcasts that I've done this season so far, really, but I'm just really enjoying Nate. Like I really like him. I wasn't really sure if he was going to be kind of, and I said this earlier, so some of you might have heard me say this, but I wasn't sure if he was going to be kind of like, I hate to say it, but like a background character a little bit. But we're seeing, like, we're not seeing a lot of Nate, but we're seeing some good moments from him. We're seeing him build some good connections. And I do think that this idea of him, like, maybe either not fitting in with this group is, I'm wondering if that is going to come up later. I do think that he's building like a pretty strong foundation though. So I wonder if he's at least going to stick with one or two of them and then, you know, bond with somebody else from another tribe. Time will tell. But, you know, I thought overall it was a really fun sequence and it was fun to see their development a little bit, especially since we're not seeing, and this is maybe a conversation for later, but we're not seeing a lot of the red and yellow tribes because they've been winning, right? So we're not like getting to know them as much. So any screen time we can get from those players, I'm personally really enjoying.
Yeah. And as we see, like right after that, we see Rizzo and Nate have a conversation about who they feel good on the tribe with. And they mention Savannah and Shannon, which kind of becomes like the core four of that tribe, of how, you know, they feel good together. What do you think of that four, Matt?
I personally think that's a really, really strong four. I mean, looking at it, you see a couple people that might have optics on how a game works, and then some other people who might have optics on how the wild card personalities on another tribe they might be meeting works. And so I think that four not only is like probably the strongest one I could choose if I was making a four from that tribe, but I also think they have a good understanding of what they each kind of represent in their roles. Like Rizzo is like, oh, I'm kind of a little younger and goofier, and then there's like the I'm not necessarily a dad role, but in this mode I am, of Nate, and things like that. And so that kind of allows people like Savannah to be like, oh, I have an understanding of what this alliance is actually for. It's not just because we need numbers to work. And so I think when you're playing a little bit of a faster game than like 39 days type of game, like those really matter. And you can see someone who's like no BS, like Savannah, being like, all right, this is probably what I'm going to choose. I like them. They're all a little wild, but it's working right now. And I think those are kind of the level-headed kind of going into it that you need, where like, if it comes down to it, they're going to bank on that early connection and not necessarily one that's just kind of forming later on.
What do you think, Tori?
You know, I really like the four as well. I think that the more that we see of this tribe, the more I'm going to continue to like the tribe as a whole. I am not sure if the four of them are going to stick together long term. I can totally see Savannah and Nate continuing their bond, just because they do see, like, Nate seems like the quieter, kind of like level-headed person that can really think things through and make decisions with Savannah. And Savannah seems like she's the decision maker, and she sort of like has a really good sense of the game and stuff like that. Not saying that the other two don't have a good sense of the game, but I think that there's maybe a personality difference that isn't going to work as well long term. So if there is any sort of a tribe swap or at the merge, I wonder if it might be easier for Nate and Savannah to work with somebody else. I don't know. What do you think, Kara?
Yeah, I also like the four. I agree. I think that Savannah and Nate already had a good like foundation, and I could see them sticking together. Yeah, I feel like Savannah just kind of reminds me of Dee in a sense, where I feel like when she finds her people, she's going to be loyal to them if they're loyal back, and that's kind of just the vibe I get. Um, so yeah, I'm excited to see what happens with that. And then we see Savannah does a little news report. Gemini says that they didn't think that Savannah's news segment was quite at Devin's level. What did you guys think about that little segment there?
I thought it was fun. I thought it was a little like you could tell they were like, okay, do the thing now. And she was like, oh God, right now. Like, and so I feel for her a little bit because I mean, if I'm putting myself in her shoes, I'd be like, okay, I mean, this was cute in the interviews, but now we're out here and like I'm tired and like I don't know if I have it in me right now. So she seemed a little like, oh, come on, guys. But that almost gave me a little bit more of her personality just from that type of reaction to it, which I like. She was like, okay, I'll do it. Like, I'm here, I'm doing the thing. Like, we are committing to all these things that I would say I would do. But also she's like rolling her eyes and laughing while she does it, which I just think is a really fun personality to like, I'm not going to give up, but I'm going to be like miffed about it. Like, she seems very like, I don't know, cool. Like, is that a basic word for it? I don't know. I just liked her energy from that.
Yeah.
I would agree. Yeah, it was a little bit of a cheesy thing, but you could, yeah, like you said, Matt, like you can tell it wasn't her idea. It's not like she came out there and like said, let's do this news segment.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I think that she played, like she had that moment in that confessional in the best possible way that she could have. So yeah, I think she's also really fun, really cool. If I can go back to Kara, your comment though, that she reminds you a little bit of Dee in that she will like stick with her people. I don't know if I agree with that because with Dee, I think the difference was, especially with Dee plus Austin and Dee plus Julie, there were two people on that tribe that Dee felt really close to on a personal level. And I just don't know if they're going to have that same personal connection on this red tribe. And I do think that Savannah, not saying that Dee wasn't like cutthroat, I think it worked out obviously really well for her to stick with her people. And she didn't really need to be cutthroat. Or maybe she didn't even want to be, but I do think Savannah might be a little more cutthroat and a little more willing to like jump ship a little quicker. We will see. I could be so wrong about that because we really don't know Red that well yet overall, except for those like few moments that we've been talking about. But yeah, time will tell, I guess.
Yeah, I'm interested to see. I mean, so we saw that part of Red. I'm like kind of going to jump forward a little bit, but like we see the red tribe, we see the blue tribe, then we have the yellow tribe, the Hina tribe, and I feel like this tribe we see the least amount of for some reason. That's how I felt. I feel like we saw bits and pieces, but we didn't see like so much of them compared to the other two. Like the main thing we saw of them was Steven, Matt, and Christina form a three, say they feel good about each other. They talk about pulling MC in. And then Matt goes to MC and says, like, the three of us feel good together. We want to pull you in. What did you guys think of that and how Matt handled that situation of pulling MC in?
It's funny when we get to see somebody with like good intentions, like kind of fumble the dismount of that because it was kind of his idea to go talk to MC about it. And then MC later was like, I don't know. He just kind of like skeeves me out. And that's like, she's fully allowed to feel that way, you know? So like, it's not like there's no possible way to convince her in that moment that the feeling she has isn't like valid. And so it's funny that she probably is getting looped into that now, but now she probably has her eyes on the wrong like target in there where like there's two people that didn't necessarily want her included in it. And now she's like probably going to be telling them something interesting before the person who actually wanted her in that. So I don't necessarily know if like that's going to lead to her having like success with this tribe. I don't know if like, I just feel like there might be like, when it comes down to it, some messiness to this tribe that I'm excited to see where that goes. I don't necessarily know if that's like a core group that would have happened if it was like a one world season. Like I don't know if these people, if they had other options, would have chosen each other. But there's like half of them are really good at challenges, half of them are clearly excited about the social part. Like it could be a good alliance, but I just feel like I don't know if I don't like the men in it, and that's like on me. But I like both of the women in that core. But like the two men, if they approached me, I would be like, oh my god, yeah. And then the next professional, I'd be like, well, no, but you know, so.
It is a very interesting group of people on that tribe, and I feel like they all just kind of want to just do something so they survive if they have to go to tribal. But like I agree. I feel like none of them really like go together. Like you would never expect them to actually work together.
Yeah, it is interesting. I really do want to see more of this yellow tribe. I thought that they were going to be, I hate to use this term, but it's used so heavily in the new era that I'm going to use it. I thought that they were going to be the disaster tribe this season.
Mm-hmm.
And I am just shocked in a very good way at how well that they're doing. And so something about what they're doing is working. Like they must be communicating well. I don't know, they're just doing a really good job. And I'm loving it. So that aspect I'm loving from Yellow, but about the 4-person alliance, or like the trying to make the 4-person alliance. I mean, some people are saying this in the chat and I completely agree. Like if Matt had just worded it a little differently, it could have gone in a completely different direction. Like he went up to her and I think all of us were probably shaking our heads at the way that he worded it. And I wonder if he realized like in that moment that he worded it incorrectly, but he was literally like, hey, you know, I was talking to these 3 people. We want you to be our 4th. Anytime somebody's being told that you're the 4th, that's just like a red flag, because that means you are number 4 in this 4-person alliance, theoretically. Mm-hmm. And nobody really wants to be in that spot. I really liked, and I hope that these people find a way to work together, because I think that it could be a really fun crew, but I don't know if MC is going to get there. It is interesting on a 6-person tribe though, because, you know, MC is kind of like the swing at this point. Like she can either go with these 3 people and give them the majority, or she can go in the completely opposite direction. Remind me who the other person is. So we got Matt, Steven, Christina, MC, Jason.
Sophie and Jason.
And Sophie, that's the other one. Mm-hmm. Okay, I forgot about Sophie for a sec. Yeah, okay. It'll be interesting. I'll be curious to see where that goes and if we're going to get a little bit more development on that next episode.
What I also am interested in is, like, if Matt had realized that MC and him could have been the swing, like you were just saying, it would have been such a different thing if he was like, they want you to be the 4th, you and I are in the middle, what do you want to do about that? That would have seemed so much more genuine and been such a good, like, seed setter for them two to, like, have autonomy together and not just be like, hey, I was the one that wanted to pull you into a group that we already talked about without you. Like that would have been so much better for them to kind of go from there. And then if it ended up going back with that 4, then it would have been what he wanted. But I just feel like he's showing early on that he's not really like equipped to really master what us 3 are interested in of this game right now, socially, you know, so.
Mm-hmm. In the chat, Gemini says that they wish MC would have checked in with Christina to see if Christina was feeling Matt's plan. That would have been interesting to see if MC did go up to other people in that 4 and talk about it, because MC did mention that she felt good about Steven, that she liked him. Would have been fun to see a conversation with them, but instead we see MC go up to Sophie and tell her that they're throwing her name out, basically. Yeah. And that they have a 4. So I'm interested to see what Sophie does with that. If they end up having to go to tribal, is she going to go to the 3 of them and say MC did this? Or I don't know, what do you think that would be a good plan for her to do, or work with MC?
Are you talking about Sophie working with the 4,
mm-hmm.
or going
like
back to Matt's group
mm-hmm.
and working with them? Oh, that's
yeah.
I don't know. Matt, you go first. I got to think about this.
I think it's hard when there's like 6 people and there's not much wiggle room, because you're not able to really conspire with people when you don't know which ones are actually serious about the core that you're not in. And so you kind of have to trust the person that told you about it, because the other people didn't. So, I mean, that's all you can really go off of in that moment of like who's being genuine. But you also might want to be like, hey, this person told me about it. They were a little shifty about it. I would love to hear from you guys what you thought about them telling me about this. And if you could try to maybe swap yourself out with that person in the group, then that might be a way to actually like wiggle out of not many people. Because until merge, you can't really make a whole new group when you find out you're not in the majority. You kind of have to find a way to still be there. So suddenly the people who aren't in the majority that you would want to work with are kind of the options to go against when you're like, shoot, do I want to be in a majority or do I want to not go home? And sometimes it's more important just to not go home. So it's kind of interesting where you're like, when MJ's like, hey, like neither of us are in the 4 and they want you out, then you could be like, well, now they're going to want you out. So I'm interested to see what that kind of leads to going forward.
Mm-hmm.
Such good points, honestly. I think that the move for Sophie would be to figure out who out of Matt's group of 3, so out of Matt, Steven, and Christina, who does she feel like she's the closest to right now and can talk to? And I think the move would be for her to try to replace MC in that little alliance. And so find out from Christina, like, or not even find out from Christina, but maybe go to Christina and say like, hey, like this is what I heard from MC. Like what's going on? I wanted to work with you. Like, where is your head at? I think she should try to get in with that alliance because I was kind of thinking the same thing as you, Matt, where it's interesting. And we're kind of seeing this on red too with Sage and Jawan now. So they're the 2 on the bottom. And then on yellow, it's kind of like Sophie and Jason are not really getting talked to about like forming anything. It's like if I'm in Sophie's shoes or like Sage's shoes on the other tribe, you really have like one of 2 options. You can try to like replace somebody in that main alliance and be like, I'm more useful to you. I'm more loyal to you, like whatever, like find a way in. Or you can try to build something with the other person on the bottom. And doing that, the second option is probably really hard because you only are really starting with 2 people. On yellow, they can kind of pull in, like you kind of have MC, you're not really sure where she's at, but that's still 3-3 and you still need one more person for the majority. So it is really tough. I do wish we had more than 6 people to work with. Like we were talking about this on the after show for a long time. Like we are all wishing that they would go back to 2 tribes or maybe do seasons with 24 people like they're doing on 50 so that there's at least 8 people. I don't know. We just need more to work with because I'm kind of over that whole setup, I think.
Yeah, same. 6 is just not enough to do as much as you could potentially do if there was even just one more person, you know, so I agree.
Yeah. What do you think the move is, Kara? For Sophie?
I think I agree going to that Matt, Christina, Steven group and being like, I would just say, like, I heard you throwing my name out to MC told me that you were going to vote me. How can we not do that? And, like, somehow work along those lines. I guess that would kind of be putting a target on MC. But, like, as long as it's not you going, that's all that matters.
Put it in a different direction. Yeah.
Yeah. So, going back to the Keeley tribe, how do you feel about the Shoe Bandit? Do you like this little bit that's happening over there?
No.
No.
I just think he thinks he's like the funniest person in the world. And like, I can't say I wouldn't be doing the same type of stuff. Like if it was like in my head, my season and I'm here, but as a viewer, like that's so annoying to me. And it's not like he's like really nailing it on any other social play. Like people like him because like, if this was like on top of him, like really getting the tribe wrapped around his finger and like, surprise, I work with the older woman instead of only the younger people. Like there would be so many opportunities for me to be like, okay, this is funny. But when he's just kind of like picking off the like funny queer like baddies, I'm like, wait, like don't have your shoes too. Like I don't know. I just feel like if you're trying to win challenges, I don't know if like getting everybody stressed and riled up and your like couple moments of like pre-challenge calm is like really the time to do that. I don't know. If it would be different too if he was like hiding shoes of people who like silently wronged him, but he's really just picking ones. And then this time he like made it known that he was looking around at people's shoes. So next week when it's somebody else's shoes, they're gonna be like, well, it was you the past 2 times. So like, you know, so I don't know. I do like this idea of like the people who shoes it are is going home. I don't necessarily think that that's like anything besides him like bullying on the person he in 4th grade would have picked in the room to bully based off of like how everybody treat them. So I don't know if there's like a lot of like growth there that I've seen as a human, but I do think like he got the airtime, so kudos to that. Worth not being at your child's birth, I guess.
I mean, yeah, it's interesting. I actually like Jake, and I find him entertaining in a lot of ways. I'm not here for the shoe thing. Like, I don't know what he stands to gain from it. Like, it can only go poorly for him because it's either like no one's gonna find out, and the rest of his tribe, like you said, Matt, are stressed about and you keep losing. Like, obviously, it's not helping your tribe. Or people find out and they're upset about it. So it's like, I don't know, like, it's not funny enough to keep doing. I think he just needs to stop. And it's giving from, was it Nicaragua, where one of the players, who was it, that stole Dan's shoes and like ruined them or something? It's giving, and then she had to like admit it. I don't know if you guys even remember that.
Wait, you're so right. That was
Like,
funny.
season
I
21.
mean,
Yeah. She had to, like,
maybe I'm just an asshole because like I thought that was funny, so why don't I think this is funny? I'll reflect on that. Well,
it was like a one-time thing, and she had to then like
true. Good point. That's what it was.
Like, it was like grown adults like stealing each other's stuff. It's kind of, I don't know.
When you have like 4 things total.
Maybe it would be different if they were on the winning tribe and he was doing this and they had so much downtime where, you know, having to go look for your shoe isn't going to stress you out because you have to go to tribal in like an hour.
Right.
But they're losing shoes. They have to go to tribal. They have no food. They're suffering on that.
Or if it was like merge, even like if you're trying to cause stress in people who it doesn't matter if they do bad in the challenge. But if like you're 0 for 2 and your like only goal is to have tribe unity and you're like, chaos is so fun and everyone likes me. I don't know if there's like much to root for there for me. I don't know.
Yeah. Kimberly says that she's wondering if it's kind of foreshadowing because he hid Nicole's shoes and then Annie's shoes and they both went home. So maybe we'll see more of this potentially
I hope the shoes get washed away or something next episode. That would be good. And he thinks he's going home or something.
That would actually be so ironic. And this isn't the only time we see someone stealing someone else's things, because we then see Jawan takes Savannah's bag and empties it and puts all these sticks in it, somehow not realizing that it wasn't his bag, and is walking around idol hunting, possibly putting all this stuff in it. How would you feel if someone took your bag, emptied it, and was putting all these like sticks in it?
I thought the craziest part was that like when Savannah confronted him about it, like, oh, did you, like, he immediately like not only admitted to it, but then like said the 8 things he was worried about her being worried about it. Like he was like, oh my God, this totally is your bag and that would totally annoy me, and you hate bugs and you hate being dirty, and I like, it was so clear that like not only did he like stink at kind of handling that situation, but he already knew like immediately what he did wrong, and he didn't try to like word it differently. Like I don't know. It was very like, I got caught red-handed, like just take me away. And I don't know, she kind of got the ick from that, because if anybody confronted him later about stuff she knew or was involved in, like he might have just been like, I don't know, sorry. And like, that's kind of like, I don't know, that's worse than bugs to me. Like she's on Survivor. She knows that dirt's going to get places. But like, I think a lot of the annoyance was like, and she was just like, that was so stupid of how he handled it. Like it was, I can like see her face of like not being allowed to say that, but wanting to say that type of thing. Cause it was just like, guys, come on, use your sense type of thing. But I don't know. It's not looking good for him going forward if that's kind of the energy he holds. And I feel bad. It's like obviously anxiety, you know, like, yeah. But I don't know, when your anxiety affects other people, you're allowed to be annoyed about it too. So
yeah. And it seemed like Shannon did know that he took her Savannah's bag already. Yeah. So it was like Savannah was the last person to find out that her bag was taken. That was such an interesting moment, that whole thing.
Yeah, I think that unfortunately, like, I think they're trying to show Jawan's story as kind of like being like his, I don't know, what am I trying to say? Like, I think they're trying to show his story arc in the beginning, at least, as being like his emotions are getting in the way of him being able to connect with his tribe, because we saw in episode 1 how he like couldn't make fire, and then he kind of like ran off and was really upset about it, which, as you said, he's allowed to be upset in these moments. Like, it's okay, but you kind of just have to really be careful about like wearing your emotions on your sleeve as much as you possibly can. It's not always possible, obviously, but you really don't want people to have any reason, especially in these early days, to see you as somebody that they can't work with or can't trust. And unfortunately, these are moments where people are kind of getting that sense. So yeah, I think they're trying to show why, like, I don't know, like they were trying to show his bond in the beginning with the rest of his tribe. And they're trying to show, I think, like why people have a hard time working with certain people on Survivor, I guess.
Right.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
And Savannah said, if you're stressing me out, you have to go home. So
yeah.
Yeah. And that's a good point of hers too, of her being like, I don't know, these are kind of small things. Like my bag getting found isn't actually an issue. Like that's great. Like we shouldn't all be super stressed about this. Like if I was moving forward, I would try to be limiting as many little fires like that as possible. And if someone's just existence kind of creates little things like that, no matter how fun they are, because I honestly, out of this group, I feel like him and I would be kicking it the most, but I feel like I agree with her in the sense of like, when it comes to like a moment of actual clarity, there's like stress always. And that might not be good when people are trying to play calm and not make somebody use an idol later or something. Like if you can't sit still without freaking out and giving away all your cards, like that's only going to help him. Like that's going to have a group scoop him up and not the people that are getting affected by it. So I don't know. We'll see if he's getting trimmed off early or if he's going to continue his, I don't know, fun little moments like this. Because I like watching them. They're fun. I like him as a character, but
yeah. But then we have another moment from him because they go on the journey and we see Matt goes, Jake goes, Jawan goes, and this was probably one of the best parts of the episode, I thought, because it was different from what we've seen in the past few seasons, where they go on the journey and they don't have to lose anything. They don't lose their vote if they lose, like right off the bat. One person gets an advantage, which we then find out is a disadvantage to the other people. But I really enjoyed how this journey was structured versus like the ones we saw last season, for example. What did you think of that, Matt, of this journey?
I like this journey, one, because there was decision among the group of who got to go. I think that's really important in terms of it being their fault later, in terms of the viewer's eyes, of if they kind of went about it correctly. Like if they're the one that chose to go, then they can't blame it on a random chance type of thing. So I do like that they kind of chose to go. Some like Savannah didn't want him to go, but he wanted to, and so was like, if you guys don't mind. And so you can see there's dynamics where people still don't want to speak up, even somebody like Savannah who is outspoken in confessionals. Then on the journey, I liked how right at the beginning we got to see moments of Jawan saying stuff like, oh, like these guys are bigger than me. Like even that hug felt a little like, ooh, I don't know if I can match up against that. Like what is the match going to be? And so I like the idea of them coming together and getting new perspectives. I'm not the strongest one right now. Like when we get to a big tribe, like it might be a different type of feel than what I'm feeling on. So they're getting glimpses of that with these journeys. And then I also like that it was like kind of a fun challenge. This is one I'd probably want to play if I was there. And if you lost it, you can be like, well, they was so close. Woo. So I don't know. Nobody looked like a Dumbo this time. So I like that too. So even the people that lost was like, it was so close. So I like that as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with all of that. I think my favorite part was something that you already said, Matt, which is that nobody lost their vote. I think that I'm really over people losing their votes on Survivor. And so that was really nice and refreshing. I liked that it was a physical challenge. I do feel like a lot of these journeys end up being, last season it was games of chance, which you know how I have feelings about that if you've been listening to some of these podcasts. But I think a lot of them have been puzzle challenges or like brain teaser type strategy games, things like that. So I really liked seeing them change it up. And then I really liked, and this is also something we said on the after show. So everybody, if you've been listening to these podcasts, if you heard me say this already, but I felt very strongly about the fact that when Jawan got back and was talking about what he had won, he had physical proof of what he won. And so and that was really nice. And I don't know if I even would have thought of it if he hadn't shown everybody, but I realized in that moment that I was really over people getting back from these journeys and like nobody believing them no matter what. Like I felt like we don't need that aspect of gameplay. Like we don't need that as like a source of paranoia anymore. I don't think like get the paranoia from somewhere else. We don't need the in the journey and like people having to guess, are they telling the truth or not? So I thought that was really, really cool.
Yeah, I agree. I loved that he had first of all, I just loved how he came back and like told them, he's like, guess who won? He was like, it was me. And then he was like, this is what I picked. And then he showed them. I thought that was all so good. And I was just like so happy for him because we know that he was on the bottom, but like that was just a good moment for him, I felt. And I really enjoyed that. And then do you think he picked the right option of giving the other tribe a disadvantage versus giving himself the advantage?
It's tricky because I do think in terms of what we've known about Survivor prior, he made the right choice, but I don't think that he like would have fathomed that he would have been publicly making the decision of the disadvantage in the way that it happened, because he might have chosen the other one, because it seemed like he was trying to come off as non-confrontational in a sense, where he was like, oh no, I'm not trying to be sneaky with the tribe, like I'm trying to show this tribe that they should like me, which is good, because even though he didn't realize it, that was a position that he was in. So he took the right path in terms of showing allegiance to his tribe, and then that unfortunately like might show the other tribes that not only can he win stuff, but he's also like gonna take the opportunity to make a choice with it instead of just backing down. And in his head he might have thought that this wasn't the choice, like picking this one was like the good one, because there's always like a good one and a bad one, and this one kind of is a double-edged sword of like, it doesn't necessarily guarantee anything. You're not losing your vote, but you are losing a vote because you were offered an extra vote and now you're not taking it. So that is, in my eyes, I'm like, well, my net total is -1 from that because I earned it and now I don't have it. And then it didn't even come to fruition. You still had to go, and like you didn't win. Like, didn't they come in second or right? Or last even? No, they caught second, I think.
They came in second.
Yeah. So it didn't even necessarily matter. And so although at the beginning, those coconuts, like, they weren't even like really fastened that well to each person, they were like falling off. That seems like a huge issue. So, but at the end of it, I mean, the next day, what do you have from it? Not that extra vote. And so that's kind of, in my eyes, I would be nervous because I would rather pick one person to tell about my extra vote than not have it at all. And like, I know that's like a hard thing to think about, but I don't know. I feel like he did the right thing, but it still might come to bite him in the butt. What about you guys?
Yeah. I feel like he did the right thing for the pre-merge, but I would be worried making it to merge, having done that to the yellow tribe, the Hina tribe, and them being like, well, I want Jawan out now because he gave us a disadvantage in that challenge. I mean, they won, so maybe it doesn't matter as much, but I feel like that's something they're going to be thinking about. Like, because they even said like, oh, this feels like a personal or whatever, an attack on Hina. So I feel like that's something they'll mention if they meet in the merge.
Totally.
Yeah, it's interesting because, I mean, to me, for him, well, for most of the people in the game, I should say, the extra vote advantage would have been the better option because you can easily word that advantage, even if the rest of the tribe, even if you had to sit down with the rest of your tribe and explain to them what you had gotten, you could still tell them that all that it was causing another player to lose their vote. You don't have to say that you got an extra vote on top of that. So I do think that would have been the better move for most players. However, I have to give credit to Josh from our podcast for this one. But for someone in Jawan's position, it doesn't really matter if he has an extra vote, especially if they're the next to go to tribal. Like if they would have gone to tribal this episode, he's in the bottom 2. So one extra vote, that's still the minority of the tribe. So, and I also think that Jawan, this is a good example of self-awareness. So good job, Jawan. He was self-aware enough, I think, in this episode to realize that his first priority, step number 1, is getting in the good graces of his tribe, especially since they still have the numbers, and going into a merge, if they can still be 6 strong, that's huge if he can be a part of that and they can like him and respect him more. And then step 2, I think that a good thing for him to say, if like the whole putting Hina at a disadvantage thing comes up later, I think a good thing for him to explain to somebody that he meets up with from that tribe would be like, hey, listen, you guys were already so strong. And look, like I was right to give it to you because I still was confident that you'd be in the top 2, even with that extra weight. And I thought that Blue was still weak enough to lose the challenge. So I knew it wasn't going to matter for you guys. Yes, it probably was really sucky for you to have to run that challenge with 20 extra pounds, but it was a one-time thing and I hope you can forgive me.
And they still came in first place, which was like
exactly
crazy.
It was wild. MC was like diving over. I was like, you're so cool. She's doing so good over there. She was like, give me your coconuts.
So good. So here's a scenario. This didn't happen, but it could have happened if Jawan took the vote away from Jake, because then Jake would have been without a vote. And then we see Alex finds the beware advantage and they go to tribal. And if he didn't get that, if he didn't find it prior to going to tribal, they would have been down 2 votes on that tribe for this tribal. I'm happy it didn't happen. I mean, actually, I don't know. It would have been interesting to see what would have happened in that scenario. But I don't know. What do you think would have happened in this scenario?
In this scenario, 1, I wish it did happen. I agree with that. That would have been really fun.
Yeah.
2, I really, really loved the moment of Sophie deciding how to like sneak the box she found away from the group of idol hunters. And I wish that she had just like chucked the box or something. There must be some like production rules, or like she was really close to them, so she didn't want to like actually move it. But if I was her and I was like, okay, the key's not mine, but this box doesn't have to be his, like that would have been so nice to just force him to lose his vote, especially in a game now where we know people aren't losing their votes really like every single week. Somebody with a lost vote actually does matter when there's only one person without it. So I would have loved if in that moment she was successful in hiding that box and he got to tribal without, because then Annie would have been scrambling more. She wouldn't have felt like there was that idol option happening. She would have had to find like another, I don't know, talking point that calmed her before then. There would have been a lot more scrambling, and then there could have been, I don't know, 1 vote isn't a lot in a tribe of 6, but in a group of 4 it is, you know? So that, I don't know, maybe she'd still be here.
Yeah, I think we would have seen a lot more talking on Annie's part. I don't know. Actually, she was doing a lot of talking already. I think, yeah, you're right about the scrambling. Scrambling is the right word. We would have seen a little more scrambling on her part. Maybe she's realizing that she could actually get something together, and like we see more of that aspect of the gameplay. But I think ultimately in that situation, Jeremiah and Sophie stick together and still vote out Annie. Like I think ultimately that's what happened, because it can still be 2 versus 1, even without Alex and Jake. And so, yeah, I think Annie still goes home ultimately.
Yeah. I mean, we do see Jeremiah say like that he knows he's on the bottom of that because he's like, I'm keep finding out everything last. So it maybe could have been interesting if Jeremiah went to Annie and was like, you're on the bottom. I'm finding out things last. Like, let's figure out something. And then maybe Annie was like, let's bring in Alex. And then they do something. And well, I guess that wouldn't have mattered because in this scenario, he probably wouldn't have had a vote. But
that's what I was
you
gonna
know,
say. It seemed like hard for that situation because it really seemed like the only person who would give Annie a chance was Alex. And then
Yeah.
he seems to be really trying to, in my opinion, correctly play a bit of a longer game. And I don't think it was too crazy of him to tell Annie about it. I don't think Annie not capitalizing it was, I think that was her mistake rather than him telling her about it. I think that he is doing a good job of kind of keeping himself in the middle, but we can see like he almost didn't get it. Like somebody almost got in the way. So when somebody's a risk taker, it depends on how many opportunities and risks are taken, because eventually they're not going to end up well. And I'm nervous about him for that regard, because he seems to kind of be not necessarily lacking strategy, because it actually seems pretty sound in my opinion, but he seems to be a little too opportunistic. He's like, oh, I could do this. Oh, I could do this. Oh, I could do this. And I'm a little nervous that all of those are going to catch up to him, because Jeremiah and Sophie seem to be like, I don't think we're even seeing the full extent of what they're kind of, because I know if I was there and I kind of have the same personality as Jeremiah, and if she was responding to that similarly, I would love to just be like, after any conversation, making jokes with her about how we just need to get off this tribe and the two of us just need to get through this tribe. You know, those type of things I think are happening, especially when they see the bromance happening. And so I think that Alex not having the vote and then Sophie and Jeremiah being like this would make that scenario lead to the Annie out still. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's interesting because I am rooting for Alex. I really like him. I think I agree with you. Like, I think his strategy is amazing and he's a really good, entertaining player overall. I do wonder, since now they're down to 4 people, let's say they lose again, and this might be getting a little ahead, but I do wonder if it's going to come up that he like went and told Annie about that somehow, like about his idol, and that he was like trying to work something on the side. Like, I wonder if that's going to kind of come up. Like, if somebody's going to kind of like out him for it, like maybe Sophie or Jeremiah will out him for being like too close to somebody on the side because he wanted to do something different. So I do wonder if that is something that's going to put him in trouble. However, I do think even if he is in trouble, he's good for a little while because he's got that idol and he is a very good game player.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Do you think the other people on the tribe realized that Alex kind of had a thing with Annie going on?
I wonder if it's more obvious than like they made it seem on the show. But I don't know. Like, I'm just wondering about like scenarios because like when we're down to a tribe of 4, it's kind of like, okay, like what next? Like, what's going to happen if they have to eat each other? And so, yeah, I do wonder if like maybe because Sophie seems pretty she seems good at reading people and reading situations. So I do wonder if she maybe like noticed something or something like that. I don't think that Jake would ever go against Alex, though. So that would make it very difficult. I think overall Alex isn't really in trouble, but I do wonder if that is going to kind of come up and stir things up a little bit on the tribe.
I do agree with you on that. I feel like Alex, if you're looking at the 4 in the group, is the one that seems to be the most like dangerous in terms of like intelligence combined with like strategy. And the 3 of them kind of can tell that. And so it's going to be a matter of if he feels really good and they want to stick with him, or if they're like, okay, I don't want you to use us and grab other people and then leave us. Because I feel like Jake is coming off to them as harmless because he just doesn't seem to necessarily know what he's doing. And I don't necessarily think that's a bad thing for him. I think that that's going to give him the opportunity to really come forward with some strategy later if he pulls some people together. But I do think right now he's not really looked at as a threat. And then if Jeremiah and Sophie are, I mean, that's 2 out of 4. So it doesn't even matter if they don't love each other. They're probably going to lock together. And then it's just a matter of, does an idol get played to avoid a tie, or does somebody get misted? And like you guys were saying, it's maybe convincing Jake how shifty Alex is or something like that. I mean, the bromance is getting a lot of edit early on. And so does that mean that the bromance is getting cut early on, or, you know, so I don't know how that's going to work, but this is an interesting tribe. It's like I mean, I know we've seen the most of them, but it's not boring. It's really fun to kind of.
Oh yeah, no, they're so much fun. I do think that if the bromance does get split up, ultimately, even though like people might start to suss out Alex as like a really good gamer, I do think that it's Jake out of the bromance that would go. Like, I think if it goes back to tribal, well, actually, maybe I'll save my predictions for later. I'll save my predictions for later. Okay, cool.
Gemini says that they think Alex being in Sophie's way of Jake could be bad for him. And I agree, because I feel like if they do go to, obviously this is skipping, but like if they do go to tribal on with the 4 of them, I feel like Sophie's going to be pushing Alex to go. We know Jake isn't going to want that to happen. So I wonder if then they're going to be like, if Jake would warn, well, I guess they all know he has the idol. So I don't even know how you would navigate that.
Yeah, I think that's going to prevent them from even going for it. Like, I think the conversation will come up. Like, I think that's more what I was saying earlier, actually. Like, I think the conversation will come up about Alex and how, like, okay, he found the idol. Like, he seemed like he was getting close with not only us, but every single person on this tribe, even the people that went home, Annie specifically. And he's just like a really smart social guy. Like, I think that's going to come up, but I think ultimately, like, they're going to be too scared to go after him with the idol, especially since, like, with Alex being so, like, seemingly good at the game, he, I think, would be able to sniff that out. And if he has any inkling that they're going to vote him out, I think he's going to play that idol correctly.
Yeah, I think it would make sense to play it if they go again with just the 4 of them regardless, because you would have to assume that they're going to try something. And Alex knows that Sophie's also close with Jake. So he's probably like a little nervous. Like, what if he chooses her? And, you know, there's so many different options. So I feel like it would be bad for Jeremiah if they go again, but I guess you
That's
never
true.
know.
Plus, if they play that idol and then it ties 2-2 or something, then he would not be like up for rocks potentially. I would have to think through how that works. I don't know if we've thought about that, but I mean, that would be a good way for him to just be like, well, I'm not going, so either vote with me, or in those circumstances, like when it's only 4 people, sometimes it's like it's either vote the way I want or you go home, and like that might be a nice resume thing too.
Can I ask a question? What happens if every player plays their shot in the dark?
Oh my God, I forgot about the shot in the dark. Yeah, good point. I feel like they haven't really mentioned that.
Maybe it would be rocks because everybody ties 0-0 with no votes.
True.
And then only one person's immune, and it would be the immunity person.
So then
yeah, that one vote.
Yeah, if I'm Alex, then I'm definitely playing my idol, I think, because then like my fear would be that everybody's gonna play it, because on a tribe of 4, you really like, you can think you're with this person, that person, but like you really don't know like who's gonna vote with who in that situation, as close as those 4 might be, you know. So if I'm Alex, I'm definitely playing that idol, and I think he'll be smart enough to be able to use it correctly like that.
Yeah.
Plus, if it's public knowledge that you played an idol going into merge, then like they might not try to target you because you have one that they want to get rid of as well. So it might be nice to kind of get something people know he might have off of his hands before meeting new people, type of stuff too.
For sure. I feel like since they all know he has it, you might as well just play it, so you don't go into merge worried that they're going to tell everyone else, oh, Alex has this idol.
Yeah.
And then,
Totally.
But let's get into the immunity challenge. So classic challenge, they do the race, the obstacle, ladder, survivor logo puzzle. They win a fishing kit. Jeff says like the person who won the journey challenge, they have to pick a tribe to get a disadvantage, which was carrying 20 pounds of coconuts on their back and then having to look through the 10 different keys. I feel like we kind of like touched on this, like how we know that the Hina tribe was not happy about it, but like it made sense why he picked them overall. So I feel like, I don't know, how mad can you really be? Like it makes sense. But the Keeley tribe had such an early lead in that challenge that it was kind of crazy that they didn't end up winning.
Yeah, so true. I mean, those puzzles, I don't really consider myself a puzzle person, but they must be really, like, I don't think that I would have done any better personally, especially since like you're exhausted after the challenge. Those pieces have to be heavy. I felt for them. I felt really bad because that, and especially when like, okay, so even if you're ahead, like you're organizing the pieces, it's really tiring. You think you have this lead, and then you see the other tribes start to come up, and now you're in panic mode, and nobody does anything well in panic mode. So I do feel really bad for them.
Yeah, something I thought was really interesting though, you can see like Annie on the sidelines. She's not one of the ones doing the puzzle. And I don't know if this was her intentionally trying to have the other people on her tribe see that Sophie was doing bad at the puzzle, if they weren't already seeing that, or if she was genuinely frustrated and vocalizing that, because she was really like adamant that Sophie was not moving the right piece to where it needed to go, and she knew where it was. And then at one point, the entire tribe turned around to Annie and was like, that piece that you're yelling at her about can't move. That one can't move. And that's a thing you wouldn't know if you haven't touched the pieces. And so it's just so very clear that like Annie either was trying to get everybody to be aware that Sophie was doing something wrong in her eyes, because that's who she was trying to potentially target later, or she was genuinely that frustrated that they weren't listening to her. And like that is just something I would not want on my team if that was actually what she was like expressing. Because if you're not the person doing the puzzle, you can only help so much, and you can only understand it so much. Like you, no matter how much you think you're good at puzzles, you're not the one doing it. And that's the type of energy that I wouldn't want on my, like I would come back from this challenge and be like, if I liked Annie, now I'm reconsidering it, because that energy was so not what I would vibe with. And so it's those type of things that I'm always kind of looking for in these challenges because I really like the little interactions we get to see of the people on the bench, the people who aren't doing the challenges, the people who are like trying to help, or like they don't realize that their reaction to somebody doing bad is also a reflection of like their tribe doing bad if they're reacting loudly. And, you know, so all those things, I'm like, well, to me, it doesn't seem that weird that they came in last, because when they got to the puzzle, they didn't even have 20 seconds of trying it without Annie like screaming at them that they were doing it wrong. And
Good point.
I don't necessarily know if that's like how Annie operates. I don't think she was really like that last week, but this week it would have been enough that I was like, okay, well, that's not coming to next week with me. So if I liked her now, I don't. Those type of things might have been why like Alex decided not to play the idol, even if they had good relationship or those type of things. So you always have to kind of be a people pleaser, or at least funny. You know, she wasn't really even making people laugh. Like,
She wasn't doing any shoe hiding or anything.
Yeah, like be like, Sophie, you suck. Like, aren't you physical? Like, I thought you played sports. Like, at least make it. Like, at least make Jeff laugh. Like, even Jeff was like, Annie, calm down. You know, like.
No, it's funny you say that, because that's something that I meant to say yesterday on the after show, but I didn't get a chance to say it. So I'm glad that you mentioned this. I was like saying to the screen, to the TV, and to my husband, like, she's only hurting her tribe. Like somebody yelling directions, like when you're not doing a puzzle, is not helpful. I'm like, whatever she's doing, she needs to stop. Like, whether it was to try to make Sophie look like she was weaker or bad at puzzles or whatever, whether it was because of that or because she was actually trying to help. Because like we do see her this episode, like and last episode actually. So both episodes that she was in, she was kind of like barking orders at people and like telling people what to do and how to do it. I think she just like really wanted to be in that role of like, okay, I'm the older person. I know a lot. I know more than you guys do. Let me tell you what to do. And I think she got like really excited to be in that spot too. I don't really know, but whatever it was, it definitely didn't help. And that, I mean, obviously they ended up losing the challenge. So
yeah,
that's totally what it is. It's hard when like the other people are playing a game, so they don't have any reason to tell you like, hey, you're not really as cool and as like boss B word as like you think you are right now. Like, it's coming off a little annoying, you know? Like, I would love to see a moment if like Alex was like, hey, like, you should change this because it's literally the only thing the tribe dislikes about you, or something like that. Like, I would love to see that type of interaction, because I feel like that's the type of thing, like, I'm autistic and I see those type of things just so clearly in when I'm in real life, that sometimes I'll be like, hey, like, I really like you and that's why I'm telling you this. Like, I could have just not told you this, but like everybody kind of gets frustrated when you act like this and I don't think you realize it. And I've had so much success with that, where people are like, oh my God, I literally never knew what it was. And I thought I was being so helpful by telling people, good job, you built that well, or something like that, like Annie was doing. And then she comes off just so like, I have no time for this woman who's bossing me around. When in her head, she's like, I'm so cool. I love these people. They love me. We are building a camp and we're a team. You know, like, that's genuinely probably how she felt. And then you don't realize till later that you're being annoying, that like, that was annoying. And then you hate yourself for it. And then you're off the island. So you can't even really like fix it. So I would love a moment if somebody was like, hey, you're literally going to go home if you keep telling people to get more firewood. Don't do that. Or something like that. Because it really could like keep someone long term. Like, that's invaluable information. That's like more important to me than like a random vote steal or something, you know?
Yeah, I mean, and we see that with the coconuts with Jeremiah and Sophie, how oh, get these coconuts, like these are the good ones, and then they're like, well, she's not even opening them, she's just drinking all the juice out of it. But then we kind of see like they were kind of exploiting that in a way to kind of just, you know, make her feel comfortable, make her feel like she's in this position, and then just blindside her. And then just like on her like talking and yelling during the challenge or whatever, I feel like it's already bad enough that you have Jeff yelling random things, and then to have like someone also on your tribe yelling more while you're like so far behind, I just can't even imagine. Like, that has to be like the worst scenario ever. But yeah, so they lose, and you know.
Matt, what you're saying about telling people their faults reminds me of Heroes versus Villains, when Tyson had to pull Coach aside and be like, don't tell your stories.
That's very Tyson.
People are laughing at you.
Yeah. He's like, I'm trying to be nice. I don't know how to say it correctly, but they don't like that. You know, it's like something like that.
Even like Caleb helping Emily is like kind of a similar type of thing. Like, give me some advice to help someone fix
That's
something.
a really good example because she
Especially
kind
if
of
you
had
really
a
can see yourself especially if you can really see yourself working with that person. Like if you think that they're going to be an asset to your game, like it can only benefit you to like gently tell them something that can help them vibe better with the tribe.
Mhm.
totally.
Gardy says she just wasn't vibing with the new era where the element of the survival is lost. Didn't she build the shelter? That's a good point. Maybe she would have been better on like an old school type season where things like that were more important, where I feel like now it's just not as important.
Totally.
True.
So let's get into tribal council. I feel like, I don't know, this was another one where it's kind of like straightforward, where we kind of knew what was happening going in. There was, I guess, the thought that Alex could play the idol, but I don't know how, if anyone really thought that was going to happen. Did either of you think that he was going to play it?
I didn't think that they would have shown it the way they did if he was going to play it. I think that it might have set up like I finally got to talk to Annie right before the vote, and hopefully like if there was a little like more, oh my god, did he tell her about that idol, and instead of, oh, we saw exactly what happened and it's probably just to make her comfortable. Like I could kind of see what he was feeling and how he was telling her, and so I don't think that the way he was telling her was that of like, let's make a big move. It was, you'll be fine tonight type of energy. And so in my head I didn't really think that it was gonna come to fruition.
Do you think he needed to even mention it to her?
Not right now.
Shot in the dark maybe is the only thing they'd be worried about, but would he go home if it was like he's her friend, so like she's not gonna vote. I mean, I guess she doesn't have the vote if she plays a shot in the dark, but like, well, if she did play it and they all knew he had an idol that he didn't play, they might turn around and look at him and tell him to go home. So if his idea of, I want to make her not play the shot in the dark, so I'll tell her I have this idol that if we get worried, I'll play for you, but I think we're good, so don't worry about it, then maybe that makes sense to me, but I just don't know the thought behind that, really.
I think that, I don't think it didn't really help or hurt his game to tell her, I think that Annie, the whole idea of self-awareness is coming back up, y'all. I think that Annie was blind to the fact that like she wasn't in control. I don't know. Like I think that she really believed that she was in this majority, and she unfortunately, sorry Annie, lacked a little self-awareness to understand like, okay, I was almost the vote last time. This other person that got voted out voted for me. And so I was clearly in the talks of like about being like one of the weaker people. But she obviously didn't see it that way. Like she was talking like she had this game plan, like she had people. I don't know if they showed that just to like make it seem like she was more delusional than she actually was, but I don't know. I don't think that even if Alex hadn't told her about the idol, I don't think that she would have felt like she needed to play the shot in the dark.
That's a good point. I think that they're sorry, go for it.
Oh no, you go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I think that there's some players in these shows that don't remember that like they're not the protagonist in it, like they are one of 18 or however many people are in each season, and so they're so focused on whether they're like, oh, I don't think I have a winning game, and I'm like, babe, you're not going to be in most of it, like you're probably going to leave soon, and so sometimes they're so focused on like the gears moving that they forget that they're like the same equal size as the other gears, and they all have to connect for them to work, because sometimes we see these people who are like she was like so in the strategy, and she didn't necessarily, if you asked her if she was going to win the game from that moment, I don't think it would have been a diluted, oh yeah, I've got this in the bag. I think she'd be like, there's got to be some work to do. I don't know if I'm going to get my way tonight, but our group's grouping and we're going to figure it out the next day. It's exactly what you guys are saying, where like she's not dumb, but she is not aware of where she sat in the situation, and that like the person that was gonna leave was her, because she thought she just wouldn't get her way, I think, if anything. And then she was like, well, now I'm off the show. And that's kind of like, I feel that's where these people kind of get to. It's like they just get dropped when they don't, and then they realize they didn't have any clue what was really fully happening.
Mm-hmm. Gardy says, wouldn't it have been the better move for Alex to play the idol for Annie and take Sophie out?
I think that there's still like, it's still early enough in the game and they still have 4 people that I think they're hopeful enough to think like, okay, I'm thinking a little more along the lines of tribe strength, and that like
Mhm.
taking Annie out is going to benefit us in terms of challenges more than taking Sophie out, even though Sophie is like maybe like a bigger player in their eyes. I don't know if they felt that they had room to be concerned about that yet. So I don't know that would have been the best move. Do I think that Sophie could be a dangerous player going forward? Yes. I think any of these blue players could be dangerous going forward. But yeah, I think for their long game, it might have been like that. There's obviously a reason that it was being considered. But
Mhm.
yeah, I think that in this moment, it definitely benefited their game to take Annie out.
Yeah, I think it would have been too soon. I think, like, yes, it would be a good idea in theory, but then you're still there on this tribe with these people that you just blindsided then. Like, you just blindsided Jake and Jeremiah when you really didn't have to because you were in the majority anyway. So, yeah, I don't know. What do you think, Matt?
I feel like there's this kind of like unexplained goal of the pre-merge where you're trying to make as little ripples as possible, and every single like blip you make is like kept on your record for later. And when it gets to a point when nobody knows who to vote for, it's like, okay, well, who's been the most chaotic? And that's like the word that gets used for people who have done literally anything, whether it be like keep a secret or find an idol or use an idol or vote differently than they said they would. Like all those little things that happen in a pre-merge, like the first 4 rounds of merge, I feel like those come out and people are like, well, you did this. And I feel like Alex is aware of that and he's trying not to have anything be on his like detriment board while still kind of collecting people, keeping people on his side, collecting the items he's finding with these idols. I think he's really trying to get to merge before he sees this game turn on, and I think that's smart. But I also think like there is something to be said for make the move when you know what it will do. The next round isn't a guaranteed you going home because you just made an ally. There's only 2 other people that are there, so you at least can tie it. Like I do think there's something to be said for seeing where the pieces fall and then capitalizing on it. But I do think what he ended up doing was just kind of banking on not making those ripples.
Mm-hmm.
Good points.
Yeah. And it was kind of ironic that during the tribal, Annie's talking about how trust doesn't exist in Survivor when she kind of was like had so much trust in everyone kind of for no reason. I guess not for no reason, but like no reason. So that was kind of funny that she felt so strongly about there being no trust. And then kind of like what you mentioned earlier, Tori, about maybe I think you said Jeremiah and Sophie saying something about Alex and Annie having been close, right? You mentioned like something along the lines of that. At the tribal, when Annie gets voted out, like she goes right up to Alex and is talking to him and like wishing him luck. So I'm wondering if that is something that they'll talk about when they get back to camp. What do you think?
That's true. I honestly didn't even think about that when I was talking about it, but you're so right. Like, we didn't see her hug anybody else, or at least not right away. Like, I think other people stood up and like started to hug her, but she like patted Alex on the back and went straight to him. Like, you know, she was his, I guess, mom, which is what I think Alex was kind of seeing her as, like in the motherly role. But yeah, she gave him like a big hug goodbye. That's such a good point. Yeah, so I think that those little things are the kinds of things that especially people like Sophie could pick up on. Like, I think she's like really smart in the game of Survivor and just in general. So I think she could pick up on that.
Totally. I could see like if the camera panned to like her and Jeremiah, they would be like, why'd she hug him? Like that type of thing. Of like, wait, I didn't know they were that close. Or like, that's why they were talking for so long in the tent. And he just said it was to make her calm, but he was jury managing potentially. And we're already seeing that that's something he does with everybody who leaves. And we would rather get him out before he can do that with people who will vote for him to win or something like that. Like we've seen a lot of these, especially in like the new era, the 40s, we've seen so many tribes, core groups be the dominant playing groups in the end. If I saw something like that, I would be like, oh, we're potentially going in the end of this game. I don't want somebody who is pandering to the people on the way out to be the person I can only trust at the end and nobody else, because then I'll be like, well, that's just me losing, you know? So like, do I want to win or do I want to like get to the end with you? You know, that type of thing.
Yeah. Like, it's only been 5 days and they already had that good of a relationship where she was wishing him luck on her way out.
Imagine
So
after a reward or something. They haven't won anything. Imagine that energy
Yeah.
he could get from somebody if he bonds with them on a reward or something. So
Yeah.
So,
Something to think about. But Annie goes, she gets voted out. And then her little thing at the end, like, she was so happy. Like, she was in good spirits, which was funny because I feel like you would think you get blindsided, you're going to be upset about it. But she was not. She was not upset. She was happy. She was like, they got me. They blindsided me. What do you guys think about her reaction to being voted out?
I just think she's cool. I think that there's a level of like, there's a difference between thinking you're really good at something and then being angry when you're not. Because I feel like in that moment, she was kind of like, I had high hopes for this. It was very clear that I was feeling confident about myself, but also like, whatever, like this is a game. And I think that that's the type of mentality that more people need to have when they go into these games. Because it's not like she wasn't trying. Like we saw her give it her best shot and then it just was short. And that always feels better to see, especially for an early vote out, than some of these really people who take it really hard just because you know that they're thinking of kind of like the money or the family aspect or things like that. And so it is kind of fun just to see someone be like, ah, shucks.
I'm so self-aware.
Yeah. I'm like, where
After
was
the
that
fact.
girl? You know?
oh my God. You know, I like your point about how like sometimes when people go out there and they're just like clearly not as good at these things as they thought they were, I don't see really a point or a reason for that person to be like angry. However, like I don't mind seeing people like upset when they're voted out at the same time, because even if you're not good at the game, like you still gave up like a big chunk of your life, like left everybody back home, like took time off of work, like you're missing your family, all to get voted out like 2 or 3 days later. Like that would bum me out personally, and I would have a hard time hiding it. Like obviously, like once we get back to the States, like sure, I can get over it. It's all a game. Like we all knew that people would be voted out, and there's that chance that you could be one of the first people. But I don't mind people seeing, or I don't mind seeing people a little more upset than what we saw from Annie and even Nicole. Like I'm like, y'all are cracking jokes. Like I love the energy and the good nature, but I mean, give us a little emotion in that moment. I don't always need the emotion, but in those moments, I'm like, care more.
Mhm.
I think
Yeah.
so many people are focused with like, this is the last bit most of the people who watch this show are going to see of me. How can I just come off sane?
Yeah.
And I agree. It's like, I would be there and I'd be like, this is the last thing anybody's going to see of me. Like, this is the time to like make the funniest joke while I'm crying or something like that. Like, I at least would want, I don't know. I felt like Nicole felt sad and she was trying to not seem sad. Annie seemed like, whatever, and so I guess I like that better, but it would just be hard for me to not see that as my last moment, especially after like going home early and not trying to do something funny to like be remembered. Like I would rather people be like, that was an annoying last bit, than like them never speak of it again. So.
Yeah, that's a
Yeah.
good point. I see that.
Yeah. You gotta take all the TV time you can, especially if you're getting voted out, like in the
Totally,
pre-merge.
yeah.
But let's go to a quick commercial break and then we will get into questions, social hour, and awards and all of that.
Do you have what it takes to outwit, outplay, and outlast? Katie does. Since 2015, she's been handcrafting Survivor treasures for superfans just like you. Hidden immunity idols, she's got them. From one world to the Philippines. Every piece is designed and created by Katie herself. Check this out. Katie's brand new tribe emblem coin, a collectible inspired by Survivor All-Stars, a must-have for any superfan. Keychains, oh yeah. Ride along with Keith's legendary Tuk Tuk or try your luck with the Do or Die twist. What is that, the most famous stick in Survivor history? Yes, that stick. Katie doesn't stop at idols. Oh no, she's even bringing in international flavor with an Australian Survivor cookie idol twist. Idol nullifier, safe or not safe, she's got them too. How about something you can actually wear to tribal? Katie's Survivor earrings are hot right now. Want your idols on the go? How about keychains? Take your tribe with you everywhere. And don't forget Katie's most famous Survivor product, Survivor trading cards. Fans love them, and so do the players. With over 500 cards and full stats on the back, you can collect your favorites from every season, including the full jury from Survivor 48. Katie Tedesco Art is the Survivor super fan shop, made by a fan for the fans since 2015. Check it out now on Etsy.com and follow her on Instagram at Katie Tedesco Art.
Okay, it is time for social hour where we get into any questions that were sent in. And if you have any questions now, still send them. We'll be answering them. So let's see. Here's one from Ollie. Do we think with MC's social plays this episode, is this putting her hands in too many cookie jars? What do you think, Matt?
I actually kind of liked the way MC kind of did this whole episode. I don't think we saw as much as her as I would have liked, but I do think that she was smart to just say yes immediately to the person who offered her to be in her group, but then also kind of investigate the other people and be like, hey, just so you know, this is happening. I'm kind of now your person to learn more about that. So definitely talk to me about it instead of them, that type of thing. Like, she's doing a really good job of putting herself in the middle without looking like she's trying to control things. I think she's kind of where Annie wanted to be, where Annie kind of wanted to seem helpful in the way that she would get included in things naturally. And that's kind of what's happening to MC here. Like, even though she didn't necessarily hit it off the most with those people who were making the core, she was still the first person they thought of to include. So that's like a great kind of, I don't know, if you're gonna be a cookie thief, you want to be the cookie thief that everybody wants in your bakery, you know? Like, oh, she's so nice. Like, look at her, she's cleaning the windows. That's crazy. Why you don't work here? And the whole time she's like, cookie, 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 you know? So I don't think she's doing a bad job. I kind of like her game so far.
Yeah, I would agree. I think that it will, like, whether or not her and going and talking to Sophie was a good idea will depend on what Sophie does with that information. You know, like, it's like, it could be a brilliant move on MC's part, because then, like, now she's flipping the game on somebody that she'd rather have go home. But if Sophie, like, goes and talks to that other group, like, it can get really messy for MC. So I hope that, you know, things work out for MC and she figures out a way into some group, because I am really liking her. And what a tough cookie is the theme here. Tough cookie. Yeah, she's awesome to watch in challenges. I'm loving that. So yeah, I mean, I think that we'll find out in the next couple episodes what happens with that, and we'll figure out the verdict of whether her move of going and talking to more people was the right one.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think it all depends on what Sophie does, and I feel like this could just be a good bonding moment for them, and they just come out stronger. And then MC has so many connections on this tribe of people trusting her, and then she's in a great spot. So yeah, I guess we'll see.
That's actually a really good point, because if they get to merge without losing a challenge and she's on good terms with everybody, and then the two people who are left out of the know things because of her, and then she hasn't had any reason to disprove loyalty to either of them, she might actually be able to kind of pick and choose where she goes with that, or they might be an actual united front as a result. So hopefully she could run with that.
Yeah. But also, where's Jason? Like, we need more of him.
He only made jokes about internet games. That's the only thing we've seen.
We need to see more of him. Anyway, let's see. Who's shown the most social awareness so far? Oh, Tori, do you have someone in mind?
That's the other theme of the episode, is social awareness and self-awareness. I've been saying self-awareness, not social. You know, I don't have any person like in mind, but I guess, like, if I had to think of somebody right now, it would probably be Sophie B on Blue, just because, like I said, like, we haven't really seen her have to do this too much, but I think that she's good at reading people and also, like, understanding, like, when Annie was talking about how, like, Annie's in control and Annie's talking about her ideas to get Jake out, Sophie's just going with it, and she's not, like, trying to be like, oh no, I'm with Jake, or like, oh no, that's a bad idea. Like, sometimes people shoot other people down too quickly or seem unwilling to work with them too quickly, to the point where now that person is the one on the chopping block. So I think she's doing a good job of handling those social situations. I'm sure I'll think of more people as we go forward. Oh, you know what? Actually, I am going to say one more. I'm going to say Nate. And I do think that I'm talking a lot about Nate, but I do think that he's very patiently waiting for his turn to make a move and to infiltrate like groups and stuff like that. Um, because I don't know, like just the way that he's going about his tribe, I guess, is like all I can say on that really. But he's kind of reminding me a little bit of Camilla, where she was like really quiet, like kind of patiently waiting to do what she needed to do, but she's building these strong bonds at the same time. I don't know, it's kind of giving that a little bit.
I was going to say Sophie B as well. I think that she, like you said, does a good job of not only kind of reading the situation, but she tells everybody what they want to hear without it seeming like obvious that she's doing so. We've seen people this season like get clocked for telling everybody that they're likable or that they like them. We've seen people in past seasons kind of get clocked for getting a little too into everybody's business. And she's kind of at the center of her tribe in the way that everybody is coming to her about other people, and she's kind of just like, yeah, that's crazy, and then she gets to actually think about what she wants to do with that info, and people are kind of seeing her as a bit naive, and she hasn't shown that yet in any of the way she's spoken or actions she's done or the way she goes about things. And so I think that if she can kind of keep them misted a little bit, she might be able to kind of bring something forth at once. And also Jeremiah, I'll throw into that. I think that queer people know exactly how they come off to other people. Like they live their whole life getting told exactly what people like and don't like about them. And so I don't think that somebody who is as effeminate as Jeremiah really has like the opportunity to not know how they come off to people. And so I think that he's done a really good job so far as not seeming weak to the people on his tribe that might see gay people as weak inherently or intrinsically, or he hasn't done a bad job at all of making enough jokes for the straight guys to kind of keep him in the mix and stuff. And him and Sophie are kikiing, and there's just a lot of things that I'm seeing him do that I'm like, this guy is not forgettable, but he's blending into the background. And I think that's so good for right now and really hard to do on a tribe where your laugh is like the loudest one, you know, like he has like the probably most effervescent personality there. Like I would be next to him the whole time if it was just hangout weekend. But I think that he's done such a good job of kind of like, oh no, I'm just here, don't worry about me, like I'm just a camera guy, or I'm just holding the mic for you. It's very ally. It's like like a superhero sidekick. He's like, oh, I'm just a sidekick energy. So I like that.
Yeah. I think I'm going to agree with Nate. I feel like that whole bit of him like talking about like the different words that they're using, I think that shows like he's self-aware. He's like, well, I am the older person here. Like I need to figure out how I can fit in with these younger people and, you know, get with what they're like, how they work. And I feel like he was doing a pretty good job of that. And I mean, he already integrated himself into a 4-person alliance, so he's doing pretty good. So yeah, let's get into Social Butterfly. Okay, so Social Butterfly is who we thought did the best socially in this episode. So Tori or Matthew or Matt, do you have someone that you think could be? Do you have any ideas?
I'm going to snag Sophie B before anybody else does, just because I think that this episode we kind of got to see how she works in kind of high pressure situations. She doesn't give herself away, but she's not necessarily just being strung along. The person who was fourth in the group that kind of got pulled in accidentally, she's on really good terms with, and she's able to kind of debrief it in different ways. I think that she is talking to everybody on her tribe, and the person who she had the least connection with just went home. And I think that there's a big part of that might have been her harping on the things she found annoying about her and things like that. And so I think that she's floating around and getting her little buzz on. Yeah.
I love that. I said Sophie B last week, and she's definitely one that I'm clearly thinking about this week. I'm loving her so far, and I did say last night she is my winner pick. So
good luck,
yeah,
Sophie.
I love her. I think she's doing really good. You know, I would probably say Savannah if we had seen more of her, because I do think she's kind of doing that on her tribe. Like she's kind of building connections with everybody. She's kind of like making everybody trust her, making sure everybody feels comfortable with her, all that stuff. But we're just not seeing enough of her yet for me to give her this award. I don't know. Maybe I'll go with Nate just because I was talking about him earlier, and I think that he is doing a good job socially in the sense that he knows when to speak and when to try to get in with somebody and who he needs to get in with. He clearly like built that connection, and this was like a lot of Savannah's doing too. So maybe it's a tie with Savannah. I don't really know, but he clearly saw Savannah as a person that he needed to get in with and could vibe with, for just to use his word, I guess. And then we saw him this episode kind of building something with Rizzo. So I think that he's doing a really nice job. And I do think that he's a person that while he's building those really strong connections, like people see him as enough of like, I hate to say it, but like a dad, like playing the dad role, and enough of like a quiet player that they're not really going to see him as a threat. So I do think that that Nate's going to stick around for a little while.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. I agree with both of those. I think if I had to pick one, I would go with MC, because I feel like she's just kind of in that spot on that tribe where those four want her. She said she feels good with Steven. Then she has her little thing potentially with Sophie. So I just feel like she did well this episode. So good for her. Yes. So yeah, I guess that's it. I mean, I feel like all of those were good options for Social Butterfly. But thank you everyone for tuning in and chatting with us in the comments about the episode. Tori, where can the people find you?
So I'm on Instagram, and I'm like newer to TikTok. This is Toe. If anybody wants to find me and hang out and chat, I'm here for you.
Matt, where can the people find you?
I'm on TikTok, more so than Instagram, but I have both of them. My username is Mattnemite. It's like a Pokemon pun, like the Pokemon Magnemite, but Matt instead of Mag. So you can type that in. And if you don't like Pokemon or Survivor, don't follow me.
Thank you so much for coming on. This was so much fun. And just a reminder, we have Stock Watch on Friday at 1 p.m. where Will and Josh will be joined by Bandit Survivor. And got something for you on Saturday at 3 p.m. with Ollie and Phil. They will be joined by Survivorisms. And remember, as always, to like and subscribe to Survivor Now on YouTube, Spotify, follow us on Instagram, and we will see you next week. And remember to stay social.